I'm going to start playing Come In Whenever You're Comfortable.
Like eyes, like lips, it happened fast. One night, midnight, not supposed to last. So you didn't tell your boyfriend.
Connor, bro, how are you? How's it going, Ed?
Made love in the backseat with no regrets.
Let's fucking go, man!
So I didn't tell my girlfriend.
Hey, Mikey, how are ya?
When those dirty little secrets come.
Fuck, pressure's mounting.
And take the flame of love, pour gas, lean, watch it all burn down. Watch it all burn down. Watch it all burn. Caught up, lonely, you need a taste. One time.
Feel like I'm being picked up for a first date. I'm nervous, got butterflies in my tummy. There he is, people. My doorbell just rang. Let's love a prompt, gentlemen. Hey, dude.
What's up?
Yo, very nice to see you, dude. Crazy.
Yeah.
How are
I
you?
even had time to shower.
Ah, yeah, nice. So you must have nailed the bedtime routine.
Nailed the bedtime routine. Got to home from
good,
work an
man.
hour ago. Got the kids to bed just in time to talk to you. Perfect time.
Pretty much smashing it out of the park right there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So cool to have you, bro. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for... Thank you. You're
That's
doing all the
exciting,
hard
eh?
work of organizing and...
Oh no,
Caring.
Rasheen does all that. I just get the time zones confused. That's my role in the project.
So you're just the pretty face of the operation.
Yeah, exactly. Me and Rasheen were like, okay, who's going to be the pretty face? Bag's not, and I lost, so yeah, I had to do it.
That's
That's what you
hilarious.
get. Yeah, man.
No,
So,
well, must be
welcome
nice.
to Inside Out with Outside In, bro. Let's do the official welcome. Thanks for coming along. I'm glad you showered for me, dude. It's so hot and sweaty here in New Zealand. I'm like absolutely melting. I really appreciate the shower though. That's important.
I'm in Phoenix. I assure you, it's hotter.
Oh yeah, I bet. So, would you mind just introducing yourself, Seth, and giving us the elevator pitch for your musical project, Monster Duck?
Hi, I'm Seth. At least that's what the people on the internet call me, for reasons. I have a musical project called Monster Duck, and the channel for it seems to have gotten a little traction on TikTok. So I think I do some music, but I also do a lot of pranks and educational stuff. So, yeah, I just do weird stuff, and people sometimes like it. So it's
Yeah, it depends how
I'm not
dressed up
sure
you get.
if that's not a very good pitch.
No, that's perfect. It's an honest representation of what you do. And you forgot to mention in your CV, trolling trolls is one of your fortes as well.
Oh yeah, I have a whole playlist of me trolling trolls because people on the internet are mean, and I think they don't fully understand the power dynamic of like if they leave a mean comment, they think like, oh, whatever. But when I post a response to a mean comment, I got like
how the
hundreds of
tables
followers
turned.
that'll be like, oh, look at this dumbass trying to troll him.
Yeah, exactly. You messed with the wrong guy on the internet, man.
And I have
dude.
a pretty thick skin.
So your most recent, let's just talk about your songs, bro. Like your most
Okay,
recent
perfect.
releases were Take, and All Burned Down, which were my first taste of your stuff. And so I was getting quite a like blues rock. There's a bit of a swagger to what you're presenting. It's got a bit of tongue in cheek. There's lots of production stuff that's actually essential to the song. Little effects that are actually like that's a hook. It's not just an effect passage or a sound effect. You've made that into a hook. And so from those two tunes, I kind of thought, okay, yeah, I get the picture, right? I get the vibe of where this dude's taking us. And then when I came to get ready for this interview, I obviously checked out everything you got. And I listened to the song Someone Just Like Me. And I was like, wait a sec. Like, just totally took me by surprise and very nicely done. absolutely like really nice use of strings and such a different approach to your more bluesy influenced stuff. And also your longest track by far.
Yeah, I mean that started off like that. That song got written like long before I was even on this app. So
Okay.
I was performing that song like acoustically, which is
Hmm.
why it I think that's one of the tracks I had the hardest time integrating into the vibe of what I want to be what I want my recorded music to sound like, because it had just
Hmm.
lived as an acoustic track for so long.
That
I
shows
think
in the in
that
the in the track for sure, man. And I think that's its strength as well. It's like a bit more vulnerable. It's a little bit kind of theme wise. It's quite close to home, and I'm sure a lot of people will identify with that content.
yeah.
The double track vocals are so stark as well. Like just singing the same thing twice, like you've just doubled it straight. It's not harmonies, and it's just like adds to the bleak kind of picture that you're painting there. So yeah, well done, man. I really like that. And
It
there's like a
punches you right in
cello
the feels.
sounding thing in there. Sorry, dude. What was
Yeah,
that?
it just punches you right in the feels.
Yeah, exactly, man. No, it's very nicely done. One thing I noticed, interestingly, like the majority of your songs are under the 3 minute mark. Is that a
Hmm.
deliberate thing, or is it just how they come out, or are you just like, I'm just going to do verse, chorus, chorus, and then people can deal with it?
I think I think the a lot of them having like not much of an intro is very deliberate.
Hmm,
Um, but
straight into it, eh?
I think I try and be sort of critical of like what I like in the songs I listen to. And I think just my like over the years, my patience for like, oh, here's a repetitive instrumental section before we get back to the meat of the song. Like, I
Hmm,
think I just want, I just think in the songs I tend to enjoy, there's like constantly like trying to like give me like bits of ear candy or engagement, or like there's always something grabbing.
hmm.
So like I'm just so I try and have some of that in my songs.
Like trim a lot of the
Um
fat and just have some really like strong hooks representing the track.
yeah, and I think like it's very easy to like I think like starting off songwriting is so hard, right? That
Yeah,
you feel like,
totally.
"Oh, I have this verse. It took me so much effort to get out." And then like it's just almost scary because you've like put all this stuff like in that like it's
Hmm,
scary to be like I put so much work into this, that work is gone if I just toss it. But like if the songs
totally.
like it took me a while to just be able to be like, nah, this is better without it.
Yeah, I
um
think getting more cutthroat with taking ideas out and putting them back in again, and same with songs when you're choosing for an album, eh? It's like being able to be free with it actually helps you to see the potential so much better than if you just hone in on your immediate knee-jerk songwriting approach. And when you're working
right.
with others, that's important too. Hey, it's the same thing. It's being flexible with others or being flexible with yourself and malleable with ideas.
Yeah, yeah, it's fun. It's
Yeah,
fun.
totally. When you
I'm
mentioned
just
you
go ahead.
When you mentioned some of the influences that you have for the stuff that you're writing, do you have any that you can share with us?
So I mean, I grew up listening to a lot of Nine Inch Nails, so like there's
Mm-hmm.
like always some urge to put like some dirty like bassy synths in kind of
Nice.
rocky tracks.
I love that too.
I had a I've had an obsession with 2 Feet. I don't know if you know who that is, but
No.
he does. I mean, he's on TikTok. You can find him. Um,
Yeah.
he does a lot of what feels like blues rock to me in terms of like the bones of it, but like
Mm.
the bass, there's like it, it's like if you took a blues musician and you forced them to like not have access to a bassist and made a bunch of stuff electronic. So there's
Mm.
like a lot of like uh, you have to listen to it. It's hard to describe, but I think he's been a really huge influence because he was one of the first times where I heard a song that was like a minute 50, and it was
Yeah.
like verse, chorus, outro, like the whole song. And I'm like,
Concise.
I'm really digging this. And
Yeah.
like I would not, if I wrote that much song, I would have been like, no,
Needs
this
more.
needs another verse. This needs
Yeah.
more. But then he's like, yeah, cool. Here you go.
Like
This
I
this is
guess
the
we're
song.
done. your song, I guess we're done. That synth.
Mhm.
Speaking of
Mhm.
like filthy, it's so good, man. I just had to put that in there. Yeah, it's fucking
Yeah.
great. But I love that kind
Yeah.
of industrial meets like a skeleton of a blues rock kind of approach to songwriting, and then I'm putting some filthy synths in there to kind of take it a bit darker and a bit 90s Nine Inch Nails kind of influence. I think that's a cool approach, dude. Love it.
I mean, and it's fun in terms of sound design. Like, I think I don't want something that sounds like it's easy to like get like decent sounding drums and decent sounding guitars and decent sounding basses, but then it just sounds like every other rock song. And like, I don't know, I
Mm,
kind of want to like throw in something that makes it feel like a little different than other things I've seen
sure, sure.
or
And I
heard.
guess
Yes.
working on your own as well. Like, there's not a bassist going, mate, I want to play bass in this song, and you being like, nah, man, we're going to play it on the synth MIDI with some crazy effects. So you can be a lot more at liberty to do whatever you want, you know. I was waiting for a guitar solo through a lot of your stuff, and I didn't get it, and I think that's kind of a power move when you're playing like in a blues environment to be like, yeah, I'm not doing a solo. Was that a
Yeah.
deliberate choice as well?
Uh, um, I, I, I think so. And I also like am conscious of the fact that like the version of a song that you put out doesn't have to be the same as the version that you play live. Like,
Absolutely.
and I think of like someone like John Mayer, where he'll have like a 3.5 minute pop song on the radio, and when he plays it live, it's like a 9 minute song because there's like
Yeah,
room for a guitar solo here and room for a guitar solo here. Like, I'm
totally.
trying to like not waste the listener's time, if that makes any sense. Like,
Mm,
I, and I would rather have something that's like gets the idea across and is too short, and they're like, oh, I need more of that. Ooh, let's listen again. Than
yeah.
like if you've ever like someone's ever sent you a track and it's like 13 minutes long, you're like, does this need to be 13 minutes
Yeah.
long?
Like, if it's a band that I've been obsessed with for years, I'll listen to a 13-minute track of theirs. But yeah, someone like with a less established group with perhaps a rusty recording process or something, you're like, okay, 13 minutes of this. Wow.
I just got a beautiful comment. Seth Rogen interviewing Seth Rogen. Um,
We should get high, and
it's spelt
we
with
should
an E.
get high
Rogan
together
is
too.
spelt with an E. Go for it. Yeah. Oh,
So,
this is
yeah,
fun.
dude, that's great. I'm glad people are bringing up the big issues with us here. Like, okay, Mikey and Monster Duck together talking about all sorts of musical things. They're just straight to the oh, Seth Rogen.
I mean, look, I think like I get a little bit more like I think slightly fewer people like scroll past me when they're like, "Hey, is that Seth Rogen?" And they're like, "Oh no, some guy talking about music. Ah, that might be okay thing."
Oh yeah, why
Like
not?
he's saying something slightly interesting. Like I might get like the like half-second attention grab before people scroll away because of it. I'm cool with
Hey,
that.
was that like Calvero's misheard lyrics? You could use that Seth Rogen lookalikeiness as your part of your marketing and branding.
I do write my own lyrics. Sorry, someone asked
Well,
a
that's
question.
important. I get my wife to proofread them for me. For
That's important.
yeah. She's like, shouldn't you capitalize that? For your song Matching Scars, it's like a really
Mhm.
honest kind of theme showing through. Are all of these songs like autobiographical, or are they more like character kind of based stuff that you're putting out? Because there's kind of a swagger to a lot of the attitude in it, and yet you don't seem like a cocky kind of dude. I mean, in the right context, sure, but in general, like it seems like a much more bravado kind of vocal performance.
Um, I don't think of them as auto. Like, I think the thing that initially gets me into the songs might be like a riff or like a clever lyric or like an interesting chord progression. Like, it's always different, but I don't think of that. I I I don't think of them as autobiographical necessarily. Like, I think I'm
Mm,
always trying to like take in other people's experiences, like reflect on my own experiences. Like, I don't ever view them as like oh, this is me telling the story of how I got my heart broken or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, sure.
Like I was married for like 4 years uh when I wrote like I guess songs like I guess we're done, right? Like I have a song
Mm,
out called Divorce. I'm happily
yeah,
married,
sure.
right?
Exactly. I
Like they're
kind of
not
figured that.
they're not autobiographical. They're definitely me like talking to people, reflecting on other on experiences and just being interested
Mm,
in like how you can twist words to have certain meanings.
mm-hmm.
Did that make sense? Like I know
Yeah, it
that's like
does, man.
less it's less interesting to people. Like not maybe less interesting, but like less marketable. Like I can't be like, well, first I
That's
got
my
my heart
story.
broken and then I
Yeah,
wrote this
yeah,
song. Like
totally.
I was really thinking about like metaphors for being alone, and then I wrote that.
Mm.
Like it's not as it's a harder marketing story to tell, but it's like it's how I do it.
I think you have to experience something to write music, but you don't have to experience the exact emotions that you're poetically describing or have
Mm-hmm.
experienced the literal translation of what the song might be about. But you do, I find anyway, if I'm going to get writer's block, it'll be because I have been sitting on my ass at home doing nothing and I haven't
Mm-hmm.
been having any experiences outside of, my immediate surroundings. And I think you have to have some experience to write about. But yeah, you don't have to have been heartbroken to write a mean song about getting your heart broken, for sure.
Right. Like, and
So,
sometimes you just like hear a clever phrase and you're like, I could turn that into a thing. Let's write that down. Like, there's just constant like jotting down notes and melodies, and sometimes
mm,
they come together and become a thing, and sometimes they're just like taking up space.
totally. And you still need to kind of purge all of the ideas, whether they be fantastic or average, just to keep the flow going. And so you're used to having ideas and used to writing down ideas. And then, yeah, you can pick through and find all the real gold nuggets throughout. So a couple of times you mentioned that you start with a little piece of gold and then build around that, or you start with a lick, or you start with a clever line, and then that becomes the starting
Mm-hmm.
point, and the whole song revolves around that, and you build the song around that.
I don't necessarily build a song around that. I just like sometimes I have other nuggets that like I'm like, oh, this one from like 3 weeks ago glues together well with this.
Mm,
But
I like that.
I I'm constantly trying to like go through the process of like documenting the nuggets and
Mm,
then like just get my brain used to like getting the musical thoughts out, and then like one of them will like grab my attention, and then like I'll find something from before and I'll like create a new thing. It's just really about like getting like musical practicing getting musical stuff out and not putting pressure
mm,
on it to turn into something, because I know eventually
mm,
some of it will, if that
totally.
makes
And
any
so you
sense.
have an
Like I
archive
don't have
of
deadlines.
lines and hooks, and then you can pick and choose and sort of Frankenstein together the song with all these other ideas that you've had in your repertoire.
And if I have something good and I just not finished, like I've made some friends online that like can help. Like
Mm,
I like had just the chorus of it and had a good idea for what the like chord progression and vibe of the verses were, like with no
mm-hmm,
melody or anything. I just got it to like a reasonable place where it's just chorus with no verses, and I sent it
mm-hmm.
to Skylar Foley.
Okay.
She's on TikTok as well. She wrote she's known for the "You'll Probably Outlive Mitch McConnell" song. I don't know if you've heard that.
No.
But I'm like, hey, you write a lot of like political like stuff. Like, can you come up with some
Mm.
verses for this? I'm
Oh,
kind of
awesome.
stuck. And like an hour and a half later, she's like, here's lyrics for verses, and I'm like, I
That's
don't like
crazy
the
cool.
melody for these, but I can wear these are some ideas, and I just like fiddled around, cut some stuff, added some stuff, and it was a song like an hour later.
Nice. Because that's quite like an anti-establishment kind of anti-capitalist kind of themed song. And so I was
Mm-hmm.
going to ask you about that. And it's interesting that so someone helped you with the themes and the lyrics for that one. That's awesome. So that's the first song of yours that I actually heard, and I could
Mm-hmm.
like it just took me straight away. You had heaps of cool. You put so many hooks. I know we touched on this earlier, but it's part of your production is so part of your songwriting. your ideas and affect you like boyfriend. That's a hook, and it comes back in the song, and you've put like this filthy tape delay on it, and it just that needs to be part of the song. If you were to perform it live, you'd have to figure out how you would approach that. If you just do it with effects or whatever, but it's not like you can drop it. It's actually your production stuff is actually part of your songwriting.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool, man.
You'd be
last
amazed what you can do with an SPSX that you hand to a drummer.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, this part I'm not singing. You just hit we have it pre-recorded.
Yeah.
You just hit the right? But
exactly. Or you backing tracks.
We'll figure
or
it out when it's time.
So you do have a vision for doing some of the stuff live?
I think honestly, like everything, it's constrained by budget, right? Like if I had like a large budget and I was playing shows to like, hundreds of people regularly, like I think I'd be thinking about it differently. But I'm pretty sure like when I do finally start getting out live and there's a bunch of local people that are like, hey, we should play together. The pandemic's kind of over. I think it would just probably be a lot more stripped down versions of the songs live for now, because I don't have. It would just probably be me playing guitar with a drummer, and I have no backing tracks. Just I have a synthesizer I can play with my feet. So I would do this sort of
trigger some stuff.
Yeah. So it would definitely be a more stripped down version. Like I could have like a harmony pedal on my vocal, but like I don't really, I don't want to be constrained by the thought of how am I going to play this live when I'm trying to figure out what the song is going to sound like.
Yeah,
and
man.
I honestly
I
find it, and I think it's like super. I think it's like I'd almost be disappointed when I went to go see someone and like the songs sounded exactly like they do on the record. Like there's plenty of precedent for like having the live experience be different. I mean, Ed Sheeran like does all of his songs as like solo acoustics, even though a bunch of those are like full productions.
Yeah.
So like, I don't have a problem with it being a different experience.
No, I think it adds to the experience. I mean, I'm a prog guy, so I love going and seeing people accurately recreate their albums and whatnot too. But I also get such a thrill when a band that I love every song, and you hear the songs and they go and chuck a new verse in a song or do an outro that's different or whatever it is. Like I love that. I think fans get super excited by that stuff, and it's just more options to show people, different sides of your performance and different sides of your songs. I think it's cool.
Right.
I really noticed what a huge step up production-wise your last couple of songs were. I think the songwriting is also getting stronger across your catalogue as well. I hope that's cool to say. Like I think all your stuff's got this Monster Duck vibe and it's strong and cool. But I think those last two, it feels like you've improved on your production side of things a bit.
I think what happened. I mean, I've changed a bunch of things in my process. But I think the main thing that happened was like when I was putting those initial batch of songs out, like I wasn't on TikTok and I was just sort of envisioning the whole project as, hey, I want to be like a local band and we'll play like 1 gig a month out with like some friends and it can just be like a fun blues rocky thing. And so like my thing was like, hey, this just has to be like a little bit better than like the recorded versions the other local bands are putting out. Like this just has to sound a little bit better than my friends whose shows I'm going to. And a lot of them are doing like kind of janky DIY stuff. So I'm like, it's not that big a bar to pass.
Yeah.
And I think
something to work towards.
Now that like I have a little bit of a TikTok following and I've talked about like cool production tricks, like now I'm in a situation where if I put something out, some people might actually listen and it's now being compared to like professional producers that are like handing out production tricks. So I'm like, there's like more pressure on like the thing. So I'm like, no, this has the level this has to be at is not like where I was envisioning when I was putting out those first bunch of songs.
So it's incentivized you to grow in that area because more people are checking out stuff that you say about production, so you better back it up.
Right, and it incentivized me to be like, there's a bunch of stuff that like I used to just let slide that I'm not letting slide. Like
Yeah.
like divorce was like the final project for like a college music class I was taking, and I
Okay.
was like, well, it meets all the constraints of the project. It's as many bars as was required. It has the
Mm,
number of musical instruments that was required. Here you go. And then
nice.
like in hindsight, I would have loved to like done that vocal like more times and then comped it out, because there's definitely parts where like it loses energy and I could have comped together a better one if I'd done it more
Of
than
course.
one fucking take. But like it was like, this is me singing the song once just to get
Yeah,
just
this
to
is
get
what you
my
get.
A. Thanks.
Nice. So you
So
passed as well. You got an A. So there you go. It achieved well on that
it's
front, eh?
a low bar, right? Like, because I'm in a class
Yeah.
with like 18-year-olds that are like, I'm gonna work with Ariana Grande, and not with this fucking work ethic. You're not, bro.
Uh, yeah, exactly, man. Work ethic is such a lost art on a lot of people, eh? Holy shit. People just want to
Yeah.
step all the way to the top step in one go. You must get people hitting you up a lot for like, you've got a big following on TikTok, you're a producer, and they want to collab with you because they've got nothing to offer the collaboration situation apart from you being the thing that will help them.
I've made it. I've set TikTok so that they can't they can't hit
Aha.
me up unless they're mutuals. So
Oh,
no.
nice. Okay, you've avoided
But
that
they're
hole.
up until the point where I set it up that way. Like now they have
Yeah.
to find me on Instagram and do the thing. But like I think anyone I'm mutual with, I'd probably be excited to like at least do a little bit of collaboration with.
Mm, yeah, no,
Right.
I
Like
mean,
if I'm mutuals with somebody, then I'm like, I at least respect like something about them, whether it be their content or their music or like
mm,
just their overall vibe.
yeah,
But
sure. You're not just adding people willy-nilly who would do that.
yeah, like I've also like unadded people when they got
Yeah,
annoying.
yeah, hard out.
So
I have a zero tolerance for mildly annoying shit. If I get annoyed, I don't care if it's unjustified. I'm like, you're gone.
and I fully realize that people definitely do that. Like to
Of
me,
course.
like I'm sure
Yeah,
like
yeah.
people aren't buying into the whole vibe of everything I do, and that's fine. Like
Exactly. I think it's empowering to know that, like, not my target audience. If you don't find this brand of nonsense appeals to you, then yeah, by all means.
and like the thing is, like I don't expect everyone to love everything. Like
Mm,
if you like there's plenty of people that would find my like online TikTok content annoying and really like my music, or
me too,
vice
man.
versa.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like,
I hear you.
that's cool. Like pick and
Mm,
choose the parts of me that you find interesting. If you want to see
totally.
a bunch of pictures of ducks, I have an Instagram. It's like 90% duck pictures.
Dude,
Right? Like you choose,
we
you
set
get
up a
to
light box
choose.
today at work, and we were like shooting figurines and stuff just to test our homemade light box we made at work, and we did a shoot on a rubber duck, and I'll send you the photo so you can use them. It came out good for a cardboard box with lights slapped on the side. The duck
Oh,
photos came
cool!
out
Like
super good. Yeah,
I might need an album cover.
yeah, man. I'd love to help you out with your album cover for sure. I've been starting to put together some like graphic design packages specifically to work with musicians. Nice little self shout out there, but yeah, if you're keen, we're doing
Whatever
Connor's
pays
album
the
shortly.
bills, man.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I am a graphic designer, and for my day job, I have a small print and design store, and I keep
Hmm.
talking to musicians on here who want help with marketing, and I'm like, I need to put a PDF together that says what I could do and how we could work together because there's just so many opportunities for people that would be keen. And we'll give them a super good price and make it fun and all of that shit too, and we'll market it a little bit on TikTok. But yeah, just an opportunity.
No, and
So
I think that's cool. Like a lot of people make their livings in like the people make their livings off music in so many diverse ways. It's not just like putting
mm,
music out and selling it, right? And I think that's
totally.
amazing.
I think it's yeah, anything that can support the holistic growth of music career and side support hustles, then great, you know. glorified t-shirt salesman, as you once famously said.
I mean, that is partially. I was like, most of the people that follow me are musicians. I've sold way more of those, like uh, the shirts that say "musician equals t-shirt salesman with extra steps," than I have like the ones with the actual band logo. I
Yeah,
mean, I
that's
know who
crazy.
my audience is on TikTok, so
Totally. But it's
like,
almost
oh,
like
you don't care
love
about
me,
my music and
love
you
my
love the jokes. Here you go. Here's
yeah,
a product.
totally, man. And that then I assume goes straight back into funding musical things that you're doing anyway.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm still pretty much still running at a loss at this stage, but like,
Yeah, yeah.
I,
We're
I'm
musicians.
but like I'm a lot more conscious of like I'm a lot more conscious of like, hey, if I'm gonna spend money on this thing, is this something that's like moving the sort of moving me in the right direction? Because I think
Mm,
they're just so good at selling so many products and making you feel like you need this plug-in for this and this plug-in for this and this
mm,
musical instrument and this compressor and this microphone, and you're like, well, do I really need another microphone? Like, I mean,
mm.
I'm not going to turn one down, but
Yeah.
like I'm trying to be very intentional with
Mm,
like how I spend the money, because I'd
totally.
like to eventually be at the point where like maybe I'm not like maybe this isn't my primary source of income, but like
Mm,
I'd have enough spare money in the band's account to be like, hey, let's fly some people in and collaborate with them or whatever. Like, I don't
mm.
know.
Yeah, just any money that my band makes just gets reinvested into doing fun stuff with the band and making the project level up quality
Right.
wise. And, running at a loss is obviously like I would run at a loss for my passion anyway. But if I can
Mm-hmm.
get that loss to be a little bit more sustainable long term and buy the odd thing for the band out of it, or at least, self propel the project, then that's all I'm really asking for. I
Right.
think that'd be sweet, sweet, it'd be awesome. Sell a few more
Right.
t-shirts.
Sell a few more T-shirts, and then like every project needs its own stuff. Like I pay for my own. I don't do my own mastering. I pay for that.
Hmm,
So
exactly.
like so
Do you think that's important to do that because of like objectivity becoming a problem, or do you just prefer to get someone to do the final check?
I think like I think by the time the thing is done being produced, I've lost some objectivity, and also
Mm,
like someone with a mastering setup is going to be able to hear a lot more subtle things, and like there's a lot that can go wrong in that last like let's make this loud as fuck process.
yeah, yeah.
And so I want someone who like the vision's already there when the production is done.
Mm,
And so just like someone who knows how to like take that vision and make it sufficient like competitively loud without messing up the vision is
mm.
like
As long as you
worth
still got the
the
dynamics.
as long as you still like right. And I mean like I know how to throw a limiter on and just squeeze the thing, but I don't have the experience of like squeezing like most mastering people are like that's a volume business. They're doing multiple
Mm,
tracks a day and charging like $30 to $100 per track
mm.
just to like get them through. And so
Yeah,
like I there's you're not going to get the mastering engineer's experience just like willy-nilly
yeah,
without being,
totally.
but
Yeah,
like the
exactly.
production, what you want your song to sound like more than anyone else knows what your song should sound like. So
Yeah, totally.
if that
So,
makes any sense. Anyway,
yeah, no,
keep
it
asking
does, man.
questions.
Yeah, yeah. Do you write lyrics as you go, uh, with the melody separate? Like, do you have a song up and running before you do the vocal, or are you you've got the vocal in mind before you're getting it up and running in the door?
So the song is usually something I can most that's like mostly finished and I can play on an acoustic guitar before I get the
Yeah,
computer involved.
sweet. So
In
you've written the
terms
top line.
of so there's like a top line and some chords and usually like a vibe
Mm,
I'm going for.
Sure.
And even then, before I open up a DAW, because I got plenty of songs I've written that I could play on an acoustic guitar that aren't recorded. Like, I
Okay.
want to have like a little bit of a vision of like the instrumentation. It doesn't have to be super specific, but like at least having a sense for like what the overall instrumentation is. Like, is the chorus going to be super synthy, or are we going to have some cellos in it, or is it going to be super acoustic? Like, I don't know. Like, I need that, and then I can start doing things in the computer.
Sure. And when you get to that stage where you're okay, I've got this idea, I'm going to jump onto Logic and start putting it together. Do you have a set process and like a saved template, and you just go in and be like, cool, obviously I'm doing drums first because that's Seth's program of doing.
So I kind of do, like, I definitely have a template, and most people would find it psychotically scary because there's like 57 different buses that are pre-routed for doing crazy shit, which
Awesome.
is more buses than most people use. Um, but I think the process for me is first like to figure out like how fast each section of the song has to be, and I'll just sing it and tap on like a tap tempo and
Mm-hmm.
be noting like, is the chorus like
Slapping.
when I do this naturally, is the chorus like 2 BPM faster than the verse? I
Mm.
lay out like the BPM map first, and then
Yeah.
get a drum that conforms to that, and then start building up from there. And I
Yeah.
almost always do the vocal last because I
Sure.
want to like, but I'll be singing the vocal as I'm doing the other stuff to make sure it's vibing it, but I won't record
Yeah.
it until like one of the
That's a good
last
thing
steps.
to add, is like singing it as you're doing the other sections. So you're not
Mm-hmm.
only learning the song and confirming to yourself how you're probably going to do it when you get to that point, but you're checking that it's vibing with the song, and you're not just focusing on the drums and going, cool, the drums sound sick, man, except that snare, I've got to work on that snare, whatever it is. But you're actually checking in the whole time that the vibe you intended to do from the start is still present. I think that's a crucial little gold nugget, pearl of wisdom from you, dude. I really like that.
And the other thing that happens from that, which is like I'm sure some people that you don't necessarily think about until like you're like trying to play things in front of people, which admittedly I haven't done in like 2 years. But like,
Yeah, me
if you
neither.
do the parts, if I'm singing the thing as I'm playing the guitar parts, those are
Mm,
guitar parts that I can sing and play at the same time. Whereas like, if I'm just coming up with like, oh, this would be a sick guitar part, and and I'm not trying to sing the vocal as I'm playing the guitar part, there are guitar parts that are intricate enough
100%.
that I don't physically have the bandwidth to sing and play guitar at the same time. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
right. Like, so
I
like
feel that too.
I've made sure that I'm not in a situation that like I need to hire another guitarist to be able to sing the song.
Yeah, I had to
Um,
do the hire the guitarist thing because I was writing stuff that I couldn't play, and now I've got two guitarists, and I don't even play anything anymore live, and it's so
that sounds
freeing, man.
expensive.
Yeah, well, that's a story for another day. But yeah, if I was paying them, if they weren't just like active members of the group and I was paying them, then yeah, I'd be bank even more broke from music than I already am.
That's all part of the fun.
So once
Huh.
you've mapped out the drums and the tempos are all there, do you play bass or do you program the synth bass
Uh,
next?
Usually I'll get the guitars. I'll get the I'll get whatever instruments handling the chords in, and then do the bass. Um, I'll do the I'll do the drums. I'll do the guitar, and then do the bass in between those.
Okay,
So,
yeah,
because it's supposed to glue the two together, and you can't figure out where it goes to glue the two together unless you have both of those. Um,
okay.
I I mean, that's just sort of the process.
Your
There's no
approach,
right
yeah,
answer
totally.
here.
No, no,
That's the process
I'm
I found works
curious.
best for me. But
Nice.
like, um,
And so
usually, yeah. Go ahead.
you're like, when you're putting guitars in to the
Hmm.
drums, you're singing along in your mind so you can make sure that you're actually able to pull this off live
Hmm.
potentially.
Hmm.
Are you are you putting several guitars down at the time, or are you just doing
Um,
like a one part guitar writing as a one part guitar? song?
I think I think I'm like for the recorded version, I'm definitely being conscious of what parts need to be thick and wide and need multiple versions of me playing the same thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
and what versions need to be like, what parts of the song need to be very stripped back in like one guitar.
Okay.
So like if I've sort of mapped out in my head what the song looks like ahead of time usually. So if
Okay.
it's like this section needs like 5 guitar layers, I will do them like back to back, and I'll just like literally switch guitar, like play it through once on one guitar, switch which amp sim
Mm.
I'm going through, play it through on another guitar,
Mm-hmm.
switch to a third. Like they'll all be on different through different amps or at least different pickup settings, so that it
Sure.
has
Wall of
the
sound,
width
chorusy. Yeah, yeah, totally. Awesome.
right. So like
And then it's synth time after that.
yeah,
And
but
how
yeah, it's not like it's not like as like prescriptive as I'm making it sound. Like whatever the song needs to sound more like itself next usually is
yeah,
the thing.
that's what you're
But
chasing.
right, I'm trying to like be in kind of a flow state where I'm like, what does this song need next? Let's do that. What does the song need next? Let's do that. And I'm trying to
Mm,
not like get bogged down in like some detail. Like
sure.
once everything is once it sounds like itself, you can be like,
Mm,
maybe I can play that like one little part of the bass riff like a little bit better here. But
mm.
like if there's a solid like it sounds like itself, then you can go in and be like, I didn't quite hit that
Refining.
note. Let's re-sing that part 3 times.
Yeah,
But
bro, I get that. Yeah, but you need a picture if there before you can start refining. And so getting bogged down in the tiny, minute details of one phrase on guitar or one line of lyric is so detrimental to progress when you're trying to write a song as you're recording like this. And I know
right,
so many dudes who are just perpetually working on a song that's never going to get released because they're just perpetually recording phrase by phrase instead of like just do a rough sketch of the whole song and then we can go in and refine the details. I think
right. Like
that's a
I'll
really
figure out like I'll use alchemy to like get like something that's close to the synth I want, just like when it's being laid out, and then when the song sounds like itself, then we can go like, oh, let's spend like half an hour in Serum and like make this a
mm,
unique, beautiful synth that like belongs to just this song, but like
hard out.
that doesn't need to be part of the rough draft,
No, it
right?
starts
Like,
as a rough idea and it's just that's a generic
and
synth
it
I've
just
put there,
like
but I
gets
know it was going to
clarified.
be filthy by
And
the time I'm
sometimes
finished tampering with it.
and sometimes something I'll be like, this will be like a rough synth up part until I figure out the sound design. I'm like, listen back and be like, you know what? That's fucking fine.
mm,
We'll just keep that.
yeah, yeah.
That's beautiful. We'll
The
just add
temporary
like,
becomes the thing after a
yeah.
while because it's been sitting in there for so long. Yeah. And so when you come to record vocals, do you just start jamming and see how it goes? Do you warm up your voice? Do you write the lyrics
Uh,
as you're going at that point? You're refining lyrics still at that point, or you're done?
at that point, I've sung the thing to myself as I'm recording it, so like the
Mm-hmm.
lyrical melody is pretty well set. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
usually loop a section like I'll usually like loop a verse and just sing it like a dozen times,
Mm-hmm.
and then like move on to the next section and then do that and
Mm-hmm.
then like save the comping for later.
Yeah, I
So
agree. I do. That's
uh,
exactly my process too.
so
Just
like
do
but in
section by
by the
section and multiple takes, and then when
like
they all sound the same, you can move on.
and by the time I'm like, because I've been like I'm usually doing this like one solid like time chunk at a time, right? So by the time I've been singing, putting the guitars in, by the time I'm
Mm.
like, I think this is ready for vocals. Like I've been like not fully belting, but I've been like my voice is already warm from like I mean like like
Mm.
so like I don't think I ever like, oh, I'm about to sing, I must do my singer
Must do my
routine.
exercises.
I mean, maybe
Yeah,
I
sure.
should, but like
Oh yeah. You know what I
I
think about that stuff.
yeah, but like I'm not like I don't like think of myself as a vocalist. Like I mean, if I had the money, I'd hire someone else to sing the songs. But like,
It's just out of necessity that I'm singing on these tracks.
right, like if I would way rather a better singer than me sing on this
Uh,
tracks, but I don't
maybe
have the
your next
money for
song's going
that.
to be a
So,
collab.
yeah, no, That sounds great. You are a
What?
much better singer than I am. I
Oh,
fucking love your voice.
oh, thanks, dude. I appreciate that a lot. Speaking of pizza, I just wanted to pick your brain about pizza real quickly. Like, I know, what a
Excellent,
segue.
excellent prompt. So, fun story about pizza. I don't know if you saw last week, but last week I posted a video that stitched big ear pedals. They had like a new pizza shaped fuzz pedal,
Oh,
and
yep,
I'm
yep.
like, does the pepperoni sound the same as the cheese? And like, of course, everyone's like memeing the hell out of this. Like, well, you see, the pepperoni one has cheese, but the cheese one doesn't have pepperoni. And I'm like, this is fun, and we're all being ridiculous. And
Yep.
then right at like as I'm thinking about this, I messaged them because I'm mutuals with the owner. I was like, hey, just out of curiosity, like, is the pedal like an aluminum or a steel enclosure? Because if it's a steel enclosure, you can just cut out some magnets of freaking toppings and like
Use them.
you can just switch up which toppings are on your pedal. Like that would be
Exactly.
like amazing. And like he didn't actually answer the question. He's just like, you're a genius. and, and like a day later, he's sending me a picture of like the thing I've described.
He made it.
um I've like, and I mean, I think that's one of the coolest freaking things about this app and like having a
Mm,
community. And like, it's just like there's people that normally I wouldn't know who I am, I wouldn't have access to, and they're like, oh
mm.
my god,
And then they're
I
keen to
can like
work
just
with you or
spitball
listen to your
ideas with
music.
random people and be like,
Mm.
it turns into a thing. So
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know.
so true. It's awesome. It's the best like social platform for musicians networking. You know, it's just so cool. You can try out jamming with people without actually having to meet them at all. You can duet them just to get a feel for them. Then you might make friends with them, and yeah, next thing you know, you're making collabs with people that you've never physically met or been in a room with. It's
And
cool.
like, I don't know anything about building guitar pedals. Like, I just know a little bit about magnetism, and I
Mm.
have like a vinyl cutter, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
um, yeah, like, my wife bought it for me 2 years ago. I just started printing my own decals,
Oh
uh,
yeah. That's fun.
for fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I'm like, oh, I can make some toppings out of this.
I think they should actually run with that idea and really go for it. Eh? That's cool. So
Yeah,
what are a
they're
few?
keeping me in the loop.
That's choice, man. And you only know them because of TikTok?
Yeah, I'm like, hey, they do cool stuff. Like, I think
Mm.
maybe like 6 months ago or something. I think who was it? There was a TikToker talking about like their reverb pedal, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I should follow them. They make cool like custom stuff, not custom, but
Mm.
like low production stuff. And I'm like, I'm always kind of interested in like having not all of my gear be gear like other people don't have, but like at least some of it be like
Totally.
interesting,
Yeah, man.
right? Like,
And friends you've met on here who build custom bespoke pedals and things. That's the way to do it.
right, like I'm like, I don't want to play the same guitars ever. Like, I mean, I don't want to have the same everything, right? Like, there's some at some point, like there's like the blues dad guitar setup where they're like, all right, they got their Les Paul going into their Marshall stack
Yeah.
and their rat pedal, and like I'm like, okay, cool, like you've bought all of the standard things everyone else has that has been
Mm.
agreed on as good, beautiful.
Yeah.
But like, I'd like
Totally.
to have at least a couple of things where I'm like, hey, other people don't have the same bass as me or the same guitar, and they don't make the same patches on their synths or whatever.
Mm.
Like, I need some amount of like being different than everybody else.
Totally. And that pays into the music that you're making being different
Yes.
because you
Sorry,
who's a bit
Big Ear
you're
Pedals
getting
is on my
trolled.
end, and
Oh,
he's sending
nice.
me like he's sending pizza emojis.
Fantastic. We all put us all down for a pizza guitar pedal. That sounds exciting.
It sounds
Um,
like from the demos I've heard, it sounds really good. It's not like just a meme thing. It's like a good pedal that just
a
happens to be
genuinely good pedal as well, and meme worthy. I mean, you get two in one that way.
right. And that's totally like my brand. I'm like I like good things that are like also like fucking I like
Yeah.
things that sound good, are good, but also ridiculous. Hey.
So besides the banana microphone, what are a few pieces of kit that have turned out to be like absolute weapons in the studio for you?
I really love my Kiesel guitar. That thing is amazing. That's been my main guitar ever since I've had it.
Mm.
I have like this 89 Ibanez SR1000 bass that's been on all of my tracks.
Oh,
Um,
that's cool.
that's cool. I got this new, where's my microphone? This microphone has been amazing ever since I got it, and it's only like $160.
Oh
You should
yeah.
get one of it's you should it it sounds like a condenser, but it's technically not
Oh yeah. What's it
a
called?
condenser. So it's like you can abuse it in ways that you can't with a condenser.
Oh,
Um,
nice. What was the name of it?
it's called an Ashton Austin Element. Send me a message later. I'll
Yeah, dude, I'll check it out.
yeah, looks like that.
So what are a few important things that people should consider when starting out setting up their recording situation?
I think from my perspective, I think the important thing is to have a handle on your personal process, right?
Mm,
Because there's plenty of people that'll be like, "Oh, this is an absolute necessity," and I'm like, "It's an absolute necessity for like maybe one particular kind of music, right?"
mm,
But like for example, like most like people that make electronic music would be like, you cannot absolutely cannot live without like a piano MIDI keyboard. I'm like,
mm,
I have one, but like I
mm.
use the drum pad and like my MIDI guitar, and like I
Yeah.
touch that thing like once a week,
When you're
right?
tracking synth bass, do you use a MIDI keyboard or do you program it in visually?
Um, I uh, I usually play and then maybe quantize. It's just easier for me to like. It's just usually quicker to play the thing in
Yeah, I
than
agree.
it is to like be like if I know I need it to go like do 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 and my fingers can go do do do, then like it's just
It's quicker than going do
do no
do
like
do do
like what
do ding ding. Oh, there it is.
and then my fingers know what beat the thing's supposed to be on. I don't have to be like, is
Yeah,
this where it goes? Is this
yeah,
where it
yeah.
goes?
Okay. It's
But
easier to work off grid and then adjust to the grid later.
well, yeah,
I
I'm a
think.
big fan of it. I try to be very intentional about. I try and be very sparse with what does and doesn't get quantized, if that
Hmm.
makes any sense. Like I want to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
very
Having feel.
right, and so like I'm conscious of the order the instruments are going in, so they build off of each other in the right way. So I'm hearing
Mm,
the things I need to hear in order to play a particular instrument relative to the others.
sure.
Um,
And that's why guitars would get recorded straight after drums for your project because
mhm,
your guitar stuff is kind of driving the backbone of the song. So with
right. And,
your or like when you come to work on a song,
mhm.
do you have like a written down process that you're following, or you just know it intuitively because you've done
I just
enough
know
songs
it
now?
intuitively, and I think the thing that happens is like if you were talking to me a year from now, I would describe a different process to
Mm.
you, but like the process tends to be stable for like a couple months at a time,
And
if
it's
that makes
evolving,
any
or do you
sense.
just
Like
suddenly break it off and go, I'm changing my whole process, or do you just keep refining the way that you're approaching and keep
I
developing
think
it?
I just find myself like playing around, and then I find myself writing a song, and then I keep writing the song using the same technique. Like I used
Mm.
to only make things in like the computer, like that used to be my only way of making songs, and I think
Yeah.
that's because at the time, like this is like really early on, like more than a decade ago, like I probably couldn't have like sung like been able to improvise like a vocal melody while also maintaining playing guitar. So
Hmm.
like that way I could like with a computer I could just layer stuff and throw stuff in, be like, does that work? Does that work? But now I'm primarily like writing on a guitar and then like figuring out the production after the fact.
Hmm.
So it like I think I'm comfortable enough with both that if I was working with someone that had a different process, I'd be okay. But
Sure.
like it it's it's like, hey, this has been working for me. Let's sort of riff off of this for now.
Yeah, totally. And I
Um,
think having a personal process and actually being, self-aware enough to see your own process and refine it and use it, and rather than just like, I have a process, but I am not aware of it, and I just fall into these particular processes by chance, really, but I've done it a few times. It's like, no, every time I go to write a song, there's like a refining part of the process that I need to actually acknowledge so that I know when I'm in that part of the process. And if I kind of make a few bullet points of my own process, because then I look at it later and go, well, when we did the first album, this is what I did and it really worked, but I want to spend less time on this part of the process next time I go through it because I got stuck on this part. And how you can kind of keep refining and improving the way that
yeah,
you produce.
and I'm very conscious of what's like permanent and what's like placeholder that might get replaced later. Like
Mm,
I mean, maybe a year ago, I was trying to like make a thing as like record stuff like live on TikTok, which is way too stressful because you got to read a bunch of stuff and try and whatever. I decided like doing it live is not worth the stress it causes me. But people be like,
totally.
"Oh, you need to fix that," and I'm like, "That's a placeholder. I don't even know if I'm
Mm,
keeping that. Like, I'm not spending effort.
yeah.
Stop trying to kill my momentum. I know it sucks, but like, we're just trying to get a
Mm,
vision here, and then we'll fix the stuff later."
totally. And I think that's similar to working with other bandmates. I constantly have to be like to my guitarist because we write everything together. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I know the vocals are terrible, man. It's a piece of shit demo. I'm just showing you the overall picture of the song. Like, to be like, oh, you sung a little bit flat on that third phrase there. I'm like, dude, I know it's garbage. I want you to look at the whole picture and see the melody for what it's gonna be and stop honing in on these. Yeah, and that's why you can't go live when you're working on your songs because people go, oh, that vocal sucks. You're like, yeah, yeah,
I'm
I
aware.
know, but I need a
Do you want
picture.
like? And you're like, well, I don't want to think about like putting auto tune on it to keep you happy right now.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
trying to get my
yeah,
ideas out. So
exactly.
like, I mean, I think if I was in a position where I didn't feel obligated to read people's comments as they were
Yeah,
coming down, like I'd be like, all right, I've
just
had a request to
working.
put on my hot dog suit.
Oh, good. You came prepared, I hope.
Of
He
course.
did. He's definitely prepared. There's no way he would
Yeah,
miss
I
the
am. Of course.
opportunity.
Yeah. Keep asking questions. We're
We'll
good.
put on a little bit of a theme tune for you when you're putting on your suit.
No. You can keep asking questions. I can get dressed and talk at the same time. It's like walking and chewing gum.
I'm a big boy. I can put on my big boy costume by myself.
Yeah, there we go.
Um,
Cool.
yeah, that was actually. I'm impressed. That was quicker than I thought.
Oh, you know, I
It's
have
hard.
experience putting on this.
I'm good at chucking this on real quick. Just ask the wife, eh? So when you're working on a song,
Hmm.
have you got a deadline in mind, or do you just go, I'm going to work on it in non-stop for the next few days until it's done, and then that's done?
I mean, I do have a day job, so no. But I don't really have because there's not. I'm doing it for my own pleasure. Like, I don't really have deadlines unless I'm like
Mm.
working with somebody else and they've given me a deadline, and even that seems like I won't want to work with them in the future.
It's like, so would you like to collab? Yeah, sure. I've got one condition, no deadlines. Oh gosh.
Yeah, but I think no, it just the things get done when they get done, and
Sure.
I have I think I sort of pile stuff up and then decide. I try not to release everything I finish recording. Like I'll write, record, and like produce like songs till they're like sound like what they're gonna sound like, and then I'm like,
Mm. Done.
this one we're gonna keep, send that one out to mastering, and that'll be a single in like 3 weeks. But like
Okay.
I try and only like take I try and only release something if I'm like I'm I like this. I'm as proud or prouder of this than the last thing I released. And that's not like, I don't necessarily think it's going to be more successful, but I'm like, this is, I always want to be better than the last thing I did.
I think that's crucial, just to keep on reviewing your own journey and seeing like, is this next thing that I'm doing actually a step up? Because that's my own personal goal with it as well. Is like, yeah, I want to actually keep leveling up each time I do something. I don't just want to churn out another thing that sounds kind of like the last thing that I did.
Right. Like
It keeps it
I've already written a
inspiring.
song. I don't want to write the same song again.
Yeah, exactly. Or make a parody of, you know, your own approach to songwriting and copying your own hooks and your own habits. And that's something that me and Johnny have had to talk about a lot because we obviously formed habits over the first album and we're like, we're not going to do these tropes that we fell into that time, or we're going to use them sparingly and be aware of them because those were things that developed around our first project that we were doing.
Right. It's okay to have like things that you fall back on. You just have to be conscious
Mm,
of like, is this thing I regularly use part of like the style I'm trying to cultivate, or is this just the thing I do by default?
yeah.
Right. Like, because like, I mean, there's entire genre, like the entire blues genre is pretty much just one chord progression.
Mm,
Right. Like, that's fine, right?
yeah.
Like, so like you've like it's a conscious thing where you're like, this is the part that stays, this part's essential, and then like you riff
Mm,
around that. Like, I don't mind
sure.
two songs having the same drum beat,
Yeah.
tons of them, like, but like you
Yeah,
just
tons of
have
them
to be
do.
conscious of like what if you're repeating a thing, it needs to be an intentional choice.
Exactly. So when you're working on a song, it's outside of business hours. Are you a weekend or evening guy? Do you have to wait for the kids to go to bed to do vocal takes?
No, I have a fairly flexible day job, so
Oh yeah.
usually I'll just like not show up to work for a day and I'll just like drop the kids off at daycare on a weekday and just spend
Mm-hmm.
like have a nice brunch with my wife and then spend like a day in the studio.
Brad.
Or like I'm calling this the studio, the
Yeah,
room I
totally.
record music in.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's the studio. It
I
sounds
mean,
a lot more.
see, like like this is technically a bedroom, but I'm not a bedroom producer because there's no bed in this room.
Yeah, exactly. That's the key. There's no bed in this room. I got a couch now. I'm a
Yeah,
couch room
there's no bed in this
producer.
room, so I'm one level above a bedroom producer.
Yeah, exactly. I'd say you're at least one and a half above that. So, does Ricky
Not that
Martin
I'm knocking
contribute?
being a bedroom producer.
No, no, of course not. It does
Yeah.
have like a bit of a stigma that we need to work around, right? Does Ricky contribute any backing vocals?
No, he's just been kind of silently staring at me.
Where did you get him from?
So what happened was, my wife is like a huge Ricky Martin fan, and I think that's hilarious. So at some point, I'm like, you know what she'll appreciate is like a nice cardboard cutout of like Ricky Martin. So I bought it, and then she's like, "Why does he look disappointed to be here?" And I'm like, "Well, the real Ricky Martin would be disappointed to be here." And she's like, "This would be a great gift if he didn't look disappointed." And so then the Ricky Martin cutout became my Ricky Martin cutout.
Yeah.
And so like I'm like, I
Did he come
guess
on
I'm
holiday
just
with you
putting
guys?
this guy in TikToks now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you got to put him to work. He's got to contribute somehow.
Yeah, we paid money for him. He better start pulling his weight.
Yeah, exactly. I got a question here. How do you feel about relish on hot dogs? I'm definitely a relish man. I don't know about
Uh,
onions. Not a huge onions guy.
I tend to like relish on hot dogs.
Mm,
Relish and mustard.
definitely.
Um, I mean, I don't judge. Like, I like what I like. Like I'm not one of those like hot dog purists. Like they're like
Yeah,
hot
so
dogs only
cheese is
have to
all
be
good as
done a
well?
certain way. Hmm?
You don't mind
Cheese.
cheese on a hot dog?
No,
No,
I
never had
don't think
cheese on a
that's a
hot dog.
thing they do here.
Oh, no, we do that. We do that. We'll put tomato sauce, mustard, melted cheese. It's a little
Like
heart attack in a little bun.
ketchup or like marinara
Yeah,
sauce that goes with pizza.
ketchup.
Okay. I don't know.
Does
Tomato
that
sauce
seem
makes
weird?
me think of like Italian stuff. It's too hot to wear this long term. Sorry,
Yeah,
guys. I'm just gonna be
I was gonna wear
disappointed.
the shirt and tie I posted a video countdown for this interview like just before we came live, and I was wearing a shirt and tie, which I thought would be humorous to sort of, overplay the whole formality. And I was just like, it's way too hot in New Zealand right now for this. So
Yeah.
you got the classic Mikey attire. I just wanted to touch on a little bit of mental health stuff, especially around you facing down trolls, and even leaning into humorous discourse has been a huge part of your brand in a way. Do you think this confidence translates to your music? I said earlier I noticed a bit of a swagger, a bit of a character kind of vibe.
I think so. Partially, I'm very interested in like people, and I work with a lot of people that are very awkward and don't know how to like respond appropriately in social situations. Um, so I think I just sort of relish like awkward interactions. It's just something I'm kind of used to, and also I'm
Mm,
trying to. I had to like when I started putting my stuff out on and it started getting traction. Um, like the on the TikTok channel, I started getting like a little bit of like people being like abrasive, and I think like the second I wrapped my head around the fact that like even the people that I totally look up to, like that musically or like whatever, they're getting trolls. Like the second you're on the internet, you're going to encounter
mm,
some of them. So
mm,
like I view it as a sign. If you getting like a couple trolls as like a sign that things are going well, right? And I
mm,
think the second you have the like you don't have this everyone needs to love me attitude, and the second you're like,
mm.
oh, people are trolling me, that means that like
I've leveled
something's
up.
going well.
Yeah,
Let's see if we can now let's make this fun,
yeah.
right? So I think that realization that like even like whatever artist you look up to, whatever media personality you look up to, they got people harassing them
Giving them
on
shit. Yeah.
yeah. And like have you ever seen like and it's just part of it, like Jimmy Kimmel, I don't know
Mean
if you get
tweets.
him. Yeah, he has like celebrities reading mean
Yeah, I
tweets,
love
and you're
that.
like,
It's so good.
right, it's just part, not that I'm a celebrity, but like it's just part of like the more people are looking at you, the more people would be like, I don't like your face.
Yeah, yeah. You're gonna get in front of more people who find you annoying after you get more of a following. It's great. I love it, man.
Like
I think
look,
it's so cool to
I'd
watch.
rather people, I mean, I'd rather, I think the only way to have not have people, uh at least some people find you annoying, is to just not be a person that leaves an impression, right? Like
Mm,
because if you're a person that leaves an impression, that for some people that's going to be a good impression, for some people that's going to be a bad impression, you
for
just like
sure.
lean into it and be like, I'm
Yeah.
having fun,
Mm. I think it's
bye.
empowering once you get to that point. Calvero is good at it. You're awesome at it. Where you actually just don't give a fuck, and so you're
Yeah.
able to just lean into whatever kind of weird comments that people make and just roll with it and make it funny. And the people who don't find you annoying, who are drawn to what you guys are doing, love that stuff and love seeing people hate you and you responding to it. They find it hilarious. It's a cool
Like
mix. It's
look,
like the
I still have feelings. Like if
mm,
you if like someone I respected and followed was like, this guy's an idiot, I'd be like, oh
yeah,
my god, a producer I look up to has noticed that I'm an idiot.
yeah,
I mean, I
dang,
self-identify as an idiot, but I should do some self-reflection. How did they catch on?
yeah, yeah. I thought I was hiding it well.
I thought I was hiding it well. How did he notice?
Was it the hot dog thing? Oh, man, I wonder what gave it away.
Yeah, exactly. Was it
So
the hot dog thing?
you've been kind of uh, not anti-marketing, but your T-shirt with T-shirt salesman with extra steps sort of campaign is kind of anti-marketing in a way. With your music stuff, you haven't been doing heaps of marketing. Have you just been
I've been doing zero market. I've been doing
yeah, there
zero
you go.
paid marketing. I
Mm,
think I think because I started off envisioning this project as like a local thing and then ended up on TikTok, like
mm,
I've just it's not I'm just having I'm just having fun making my music, and it's nice that
Mm,
like I have more people listening than like before I got on TikTok. But
sure,
like
exactly.
I I don't I don't I haven't seen people talk about the ROI of like advertising for things paying off. Like streams are
Mm,
paying so little that it just doesn't make sense. So
yeah.
like I can put my music out, and like I'm sort of slowly building up a fan base. Some people are like
Mm,
pimping my music on my behalf. And like
mm,
I think given the position I'm in, like if I put out something and it like grabs people's ears more than previous things, and I found the right way of like, hey, this one's fun, you want to join in on
mm,
like whatever, then
yeah.
like I think there's enough people that I'm mutuals with that like have playlists and run like music blogs, that like the things are gonna happen naturally
Mm,
if they're meant to be. And
sure.
like
You're more a
honestly,
fan of
like
that organic style and just connecting with the people on your TikTok at the moment
and like
seems
I
to be
don't want
working.
to turn it into an ad, and I don't want to be
Mm,
annoying to people. Like
totally. It's a
sure,
fine line, eh?
I'm sure I can talk to TikTok and be like, make sure all of my followers see that I have a new song out. But like at the end of the
Mm,
day, if I'm like, hey, I have a new song out, here it is, and like I've made the video engaging, like
mm,
if it's an engaging video, like a bunch of people see it. If it's not, the song isn't engaging and the video isn't engaging, like TikTok's really good at letting me know, be like,
yeah.
hey, you posted too many times about this new song of yours.
Mm.
Exactly
Did
four
you?
people will see the post. Goodbye.
Yeah, you'll be punished for that act severely.
Yes.
Your reach
I'm
is
like,
cut. You're cut.
yeah.
Do you intend to make any music videos for any of the stuff that you're doing? I think it's quite
I think
story-like and it could work pretty well, eh?
I think so. I think I wouldn't mind if sort of I sold a couple more T-shirts and had sort of people that people that could help me out with that. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Hell yeah.
Um, but it's not a huge I think it's not a huge priority. I'm kind of sticking with the things that get like because I'm doing this primarily for fun. Like I don't have some image that like I'm gonna be like an amazing star. Like
Mm.
this, the amount of success I have with the channel, and like there's already way more people listening than I'm comfortable with.
That's
Like
awesome.
so I think if I get to a point where like so I don't know how to phrase it. Like the things I'm doing are the things that like give me like
You get
positive
the pleasure that
dopamine
you're looking for.
reinforcement, right?
Mm.
Like I
Mm.
put out a video and I'm like, oh cool, people I like are responding to this. Let's do
Yeah,
more of
yeah.
this. Like
Yeah, totally.
I make a song, I'm like, oh, this sounds more like the one that, like it did in my head. This sounds more like the thing in my head than the last one did. This is great.
Yeah. I'm nailing it.
Um,
Yeah. So you're seeking different things to a lot of us out there who, I mean, not seeking fame, but seeking more commercial success so that we can grow our career. You're just like more on the buzz of like, this is personally fulfilling me right now. This is awesome, and if it keeps growing and justifying me doing it more, then I'm totally for that.
right. Like I think if the thing became like I think if I started bringing in more money from stuff like I would consider doing less work and more music, but like
Mm.
I'm not going to stop doing music.
No,
Um,
totally. That's already
so
established.
and I think honestly like it's weird, right? Because I see a bunch of people that are like, I want to be the your new favorite pop star, and I'm like,
Mm.
you posted 4 times. I'm just
Yeah.
posting for fun, and I've done it more, doing more. Like I've released more songs than you, and I'm doing this for fun.
Mm.
Like
Mm.
what? Like
You got a work ethic to back it up.
I don't I don't even know that it's a work ethic. It's like a procrastination ethic, right? Like because like I view like the writing music as like I'm taking my procrastination seriously. I should be answering
Mm.
work emails.
Uh,
I want something to show for my procrastination.
yeah, I sneak home from my own business and wag work from my own business to come home and focus on music as well. So I totally feel that.
Eh,
Um,
like
when it
it's
comes
good.
to investing in your followers and your fans and interacting with people, are you mixing other projects for anyone at the moment, or is that something that you're looking to engage on?
I think if it was, I think if I was in a no, I don't work on anyone's music but my own.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment, I don't plan to. I
Yeah.
I I don't think I think if I was in a situation where I was like, like 80% of the way to this being like a financially viable career, I'd be like, let's just do some mixing. So I'm like
Sure.
honing my ears for people, right?
Mm.
Or like 60% of the way, I'd like, let's do more music related stuff because it'll help me make connections. But like,
Mm.
it doesn't make sense
It's
right
not a
now.
goal. It's not on the list
It's
at the
not a
moment. Yeah.
goal. Like,
Mm.
I think I talk to enough people that do various music things that like, and you're like, oh, what does your day-to-day look like? And you're like, I get that I'm a different person than them, then they might enjoy stuff I
Mm.
don't enjoy, but if they describe your day and you're like, that sounds like torture, you're like, not for me. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
because like if you're a mix engineer, you don't get to, until you're like at a certain career level and have the right
Mm.
connections, like you don't get to like pick whose song you're mixing the one who's paying you. And
Yeah,
so you might
exactly.
be mixing or producing songs for people that you don't like the people and you don't like the songs. And I think the
Totally.
benefit of the position I'm in is like i don't I don't even
You
talk
can
to
do
people I
whatever you
don't want
want.
to talk to if it's
Yeah.
related to music.
Yeah.
I,
That's
I don't even
the
like, I
total
don't like you,
freedom
I
that
don't even
comes
have to
with that.
return your email.
Yeah, yeah, I can just blank. That's fine. I'll just blank anyone who I'm not keen to deal with.
Yeah.
What have been your biggest hurdles, or what's been a big breakthrough that you've had on your music projects?
Oh, my biggest hurdles. uh, I don't know, I feel like I've had a very privileged
It's been pretty
I
cruisy.
it's not that it's been pretty cruisy, like it's been a learning experience, but I don't feel like there's I think one thing I wish I'm in the US on a green card, so like the college classes I took on mixing were super helpful for my own art making, and I
Mm,
had to wait until I got my green card because before then you have to pay like international person tuition to do it. So like that was like I would have done a bunch of stuff 3 years earlier if but there's a big
mm,
difference between paying $300 for a course and like $1,000 for a course, right?
yeah,
It wouldn't have been worth it
yeah.
at $1,000. So I think that's one. I think that's one like logistic hurdle. I think it's been really hard to like fit in music now that I have two kids. Like I had a daughter
Mm.
born like a month into the pandemic, so
Congrats, but yeah, stressful. Hey, the second
I
one's the
don't know. I'm
kicker, I
I'm too
think. Hey,
privileged
uh,
about I'm not struggling. Like I'm doing this for fun. Like
yeah,
I don't
that's
want to
cool though.
pretend like I am.
I think that's the freeing thing that aids the confidence in what you're doing, and yeah, just gives you that total like, yeah, I'm doing whatever the fuck I want, and I'm enjoying it by doing it that way. I think that's epic,
Right.
man.
Like when I was in my 20s and broke, I didn't have cool music recording equipment, and I wish I
Yeah.
appreciated how uh, I didn't need nice stuff, and I could have made a bunch of cool music back then with like the stuff I had. If I had just like spent $100 on like a thing,
Mm,
but like
just to get started, yeah.
I mean, I had like Garage Band and I had a Light Snake, but that thing was terrible. I should have at least gotten an interface that
Mm.
wasn't just a cable to plug my guitar into my computer.
Oh yeah,
But
just an adapter to get the guitar straight in.
oh, that thing was
Jeez,
terrible.
those were the days, man.
Yeah.
I just before we do the quickfire round, I just wanted to
Okay.
know like what you're focusing on right now. What's your next thing?
What's my
What's
next
coming up?
thing? I want to. So eventually, I have a song I've been procrastinating on. With Tom Shea that I'd like to actually finish and put out. I have
Yeah.
an amazing chorus I came up with this morning that might turn into a song. Um,
Yes, I
uh,
like it.
I'm just keep doing what I'm doing, keep having fun, and if it keeps if it keeps growing, cool. And if this is like the peak of where I am at, I'm like this has been a
Happy
good
with that
project.
too.
Like that's
That's a,
like
that's awesome.
there's people that there's local bands that I'm like, oh my god, this is like my favorite band, and then I look on their Spotify, I'm like, how are only 12 people listening to you guys?
Oh,
I'm like,
that's a crime.
cool.
I'll take it while
So I'm
it's
like,
going.
I would never imagine, like, if you told me 2 years ago I'd be more successful like than this band that's local that I look up to, I'd be like, that does not sound right. No, they're cooler than me.
Yeah. So h- I'm gonna ask you one more question, and I'm gonna ask you like a whole lot of questions in a real quick session, quick
Mm-hmm.
succession, and you're just gonna try and answer them all like quick fire round. We really want to see those
Okay.
fingers. But first, I wanted to ask you. No, we'll go straight into it. I've forgotten. Okay, so the quick fire round goes like this.
Okay.
um, so please badly explain what you do for a living.
I talk about math with people that don't want to talk about math.
I knew you'd have a good answer for that. Perfect. Next costume.
Costume.
Yeah.
Uh,
What's your next costume?
I. Oh my god. I think I need a better duck costume. So well, let's put that on the list. Whatever's at the discount aisle at the Halloween store.
When did you play music growing up as a kid?
Yes.
And were your parents supportive of you being a musician?
My parents were supportive of me learning how to play guitar. My
Yep.
parents know about my TikTok channel, so they're like, "You're not going to leave your lucrative career for music, are you? Are you?" So they're
Because we've seen
supportive
your
of the.
TikTok videos, son, and we're not happy.
We're not happy. So they were supportive. Oh my god, yes, I will. I will wear a sriracha costume. Thank you.
Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah, my mum's like, I don't have to do TikTok, do I, Michael, to support your music? I'm like, no, don't worry about it. You're
No,
good, mum. You're
you're
fine.
good.
In fact, I prefer you not to join TikTok for your sake. Pineapple on pizza? Yes or no?
Pineapple on pizza petals, yes. Pineapple on pizza I'm eating, no.
Okay, excellent. What advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
Um, Invest in recording more than you invest in buying one more guitar. It'll pay off.
Totally, man. You can have one piece of shit guitar and some good recording gear, and you could make something good. So true.
No,
What?
I did not need 7 pieces of shit guitars for sure.
Yeah, exactly, man. One's plenty.
Yeah.
What is your favorite song that you've done so far?
Um, Someone just like me, I think, like is the one
Mm,
that makes me feel something, and that's the one I've had the most experience playing in front of people, and it's nice to see it making other people feel something.
yeah,
So
I
yeah, I
like that
think
one too, man. Caught me
I
by
don't know,
surprise.
maybe I should do an acoustic version of that if I
Dude,
at some point.
I'd be keen to contribute keys or BVs or something if you do that. That could be fun.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see what my schedule looks like tomorrow.
um, what is a song that you wish you had written?
Oh, Jesus. There's what? Sorry, I'm tired. Um,
It's a tricky one.
that Hosier song, the popular one. That song, "Take Me to Church." That I think is one of the best songs I've ever heard in my life. Just like front to back, like the lyrics, the melody, the emotion of it. Like,
Who's it by?
yeah.
What's the band called?
Hosier,
Hosier. I'll check him
Hosier.
out. That sounds. Yeah, yeah, I got it. Take
Uh,
me to church. That's cool.
you probably heard it on the radio.
Yeah, I'll probably recognize it. I'm sure. Do you read and write music?
I used to.
Uh-huh.
I,
I used to
I
too.
used to be able to read music. It's a skill you lose when you don't use it.
Yeah,
I
true.
used to be able to read bass clef because I played the stand-up bass in high
No
school
way.
band. And I can
Could you
I
still
can
play
read
that?
rhythm notation, like that's required for the drum lessons that I was taking pre-pandemic. But like if
Oh,
you just
okay,
stuck,
yep.
but if you just stuck
Sheet
like
music.
if you just stuck sheet music in front of me, I'd be like, I can sound it out like really,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
no, I can't play it.
Like
Like I
F
can't.
A
It,
B. Okay, cool, 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 cool.
yeah, yeah,
One
I
note
can
at a
do that.
time. Yeah,
I
yeah,
can
me
do that.
too. I'm good at that. That's my
That's where I'm
forte.
at.
Yeah, yeah. It's a long forgotten art for me too. I learned piano as a kid, and I could do it. I could do it all right, but yeah, I can't do it now. That's for sure.
It's a skill
Are
you
you
lose. It's
planning?
like if you. Sorry, keep
Just
talking.
like upright bass. Upright
Yeah.
bass is a skill you lose too. Do you have access to, or do you still dabble?
No, they're too big and too expensive.
Fuck yeah.
I mean, at some point I wouldn't mind, like I've moved a lot, so like every time I move, have a big move, I have to like consolidate all my gear into like a couple of pieces and then like go back up. So I used to have a
Mm,
fretless bass that like I gave up. I wouldn't mind getting another one of those, but that's low on the priority list because I
mm.
don't have any songs that require a fretless bass right now.
Nah, fair enough too. Um, how do you, hang on, key piece of advice for a kid starting out on the music journey?
uh don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. You need other people and you're not.
Mm,
Don't be a dick.
yeah, I love that. And I think it's
Don't
so
be.
true. You need other people. Like when you're a kid and you're so hungry for the musical success dreams that are, you know, crazy bounce around in your head. I feel like I did this in my 20s a little bit. You have a tendency to see what you think are opportunities, but they're actually people in the music industry who, if you made friends with them and actually engage with them properly, rather than just walking in and being like, I want something from you and I need something from you, like you need to learn to stop trying to shortcut to that point where you want something from someone else in the music industry. You actually have to show what you're contributing to your community. And I think
Right, and
Don't Be
like
a Dick summarizes it
even like from a
perfectly.
practical perspective, like if you want to play at a bar, like you don't have more than an hour of original material. You don't
Mm,
want to play for 3 hours. That means you need two
no.
other bands that don't hate you to put
Yeah,
on like a
and you
three
might
hour
want to
show.
share a backline, and you might want to
Yeah,
share bass amp or drums minus snare and cymbals. Like you actually need to be not a dick. It seems obvious,
abs.
but it's an old forgotten skill.
And like if you're slightly more prepared than the people next to you, that goes like if you just keep batteries in your car for when their tuners go out, like you
And
just keep
strings.
like two 9 volts and two like 1032s on you, you'll save
Yeah,
people's ass all day long and they'll be like,
completely.
that man, God, he just
That guy
somehow
knows what's
fixes all
up.
the things that go wrong. I'm like, no, I just have
Exactly.
batteries in my trunk,
I
dumbass.
just organized. Yeah, I just thought about what could go wrong for my own set and had it on hand.
Yeah.
Is the name Monster Truck derived from a child
Yeah, it's my
mispronouncing
son. It's my
monster
son
truck?
mispronouncing monster truck. That's 100% what
Yes,
happened.
that's gold. How
And
old
then
is your
I'm like,
son
oh
now?
my God, it could be a logo, it'd be great. Like that's all it is.
That's perfect, man. I felt like it might be. I've got two small kids as well, and I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna ask him. Fuck it. That's so
That's
gold,
100%
man.
where that came from.
Dude, um, in summary, like, where can people come to engage with you and check out what you're doing and, anything else you want to sign off with?
Uh, oh, sorry, my wife is screaming, "Show the duck!"
Show the
Um,
duck.
the duck
Oh,
with monster truck tires.
monster truck. And he's got ski goggles. Are they ski goggles?
No, those are my kid's sunglasses.
Oh, perfection.
Uh,
And so that's where the name came from. That's so
yeah,
cool, man.
absolutely. That my wife had that made for me. Wait, what was the question?
Just like where are people best to engage with you and check out what you're doing?
I mean, if they want to engage my music, that's wherever they stream music. If they want to engage with my TikTok content, they seem to be on TikTok right now, and I'm assuming a lot
Yeah.
of they can follow me.
Hmm.
If they want to engage with me in a conversation, my email is linked in my bio. If they want to send me random stuff, like my PO box is also in my bio.
Yep.
Like,
Now
don't
accepting
send
rubber
anything
duckies
weird.
of all colors, shapes, and sizes.
I mean, maybe email me ahead of time so I don't. If you're gonna email a giant stack of money, like you don't need to let me know ahead of time. I think that'd be a nice surprise next time I get to
Anything
PO
else?
box.
Please just call ahead. Let me know what, so that I don't get weirded out by these packages turning up.
Right,
My
like no murder weapons, that kind of stuff. But
Exactly.
um,
Well, in summary, wrapping up now, dude, Monster Duck, you're a gentleman. It's been such a pleasure having you on the show. I'm so stoked to get to hang out with you, like almost in person. It's been so fun, man. I love what you're doing. You're awesome.
thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. And I have to thank Roisin, who helps me make these things happen and helps me work out the time zone thing. It's actually pretty confusing.
You just Google the time. You just put the time zone the person is in into Google, and it'll tell you. And then ask for your time zone, and it'll just tell you what it is.
But I
You'll
have to
ask
remember where they're from, which part of the states is Eastern and Central time zone stuff. Look, I'm from
You
a
just need
tiny
to know what
country,
city
man.
they're in. You can just put the name of the city.
Please help me, guys. We're going to need to take on a second person to help us run the show just to get me turning up on time and posting the right times. We have 2 guests left for season 1. We're calling this season 1 now, which
Okay,
are
perfect.
Polishi and Brett Crow. And then
Awesome.
we are, yeah, that's going to be epic. What a way to finish the season. And then me and Ro Sheen are going to interview each other for like the finale of season 1. And then we are looking for people to talk to for season 2. We've got a few cool cats already lined up. For season 2, we are trying to be a bit more female identifying friendly because we've been a little bit dude bro with this season. We had Billy
Mm-hmm.
Pettinger on first, but then it's been sort of a little bit of a sausage fest. So what we were thinking is it would be awesome to get some more female musicians involved. So anyone who wants to come and be on the show, or if you've got some friends that want to be on the show, please get in touch with me or Roisin, and we will try and work something out.
Sorry,
But yeah,
I didn't mean to
dude.
laugh. I was like, the sausage fest. I mean, they asked me to put on the hot dog.
Exactly. That was a Freudian slip. um, yeah, dude. Thanks so much for coming on, man. And thanks everybody for supporting us and checking it out. And
All right.
we'll see you next week.
Thanks for sticking around. This has been a lot of fun.
Thanks so much, man. Really appreciate having
I'm
you on.
off to bed.
Yeah. It's Friday evening for me at 5:30, so now I get to go and like have a nice wind down into the weekend. It's going to be great.
Cool.
Bye,
Enjoy your
everybody.
evening.